Welcome back, everyone. It's me, Key.
And Chevy.
And today we're coming with a topic that a lot of people may be able to relate to in terms of having adult sons and daughters and some of the challenges that we may face as parents once our children become adults. Not necessarily in full responsibility of their lives and their choices, but in just chronological age, they, 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, 30 sometimes, and having the complexities that adult children bring, where you may find yourself not knowing how to cope with the fact that the relationship you have with your adult children obviously is very different than just, say, for instance, when they were 16, 17, which is also a challenging time frame too in their lives. So, Chevy and I, we have seven children all together. They're all adults at this point. The youngest is 24, about to have a child. So we are in a position now where we recently moved and we're in a new city. We have three of our youngest children, adult children, living here with us. One has a child. Our daughter, who's 27, has a child. She has an 18-month-old. And then we have our youngest, who's 24, that is about to have a baby in the fall, him and his girlfriend. His girlfriend and him were living here for about 2 months. Me and the girlfriend, I do not care for her and the dysfunction that she comes with. And I have always been very candid with them in regards to me not just accepting,
Amen.
what that relationship has been for the last 3 years, who he's been with her. And it's just been a very, to me, difficult relationship for them and for me and my son. And at some point, my son was even having issues with his siblings. So Chevy and I are at a point now where we we've discussed this numerous times as to how we're going to have to, more so me than Chevy, we're going to have to release him in terms of just allowing him to go and live his life, and just, the choices that he makes, he's going to have to deal with everything, the good and the bad. So he is moving. Actually, he's leaving today to
He's
go.
left.
Yeah, he's left to go and live with his girlfriend in another state, where she's originally from. So it is difficult for me more so because I have a very close, strong bond with my son. And I find it where now it is strained, and we are faced with the dilemma of me possibly not having a strong relationship with my grandchild because of the relationship, well, the lack of relationship I have with his girlfriend, and that I just, and totally at odds with. So I think one thing that I've learned in the last couple of months is you have to be realistic once your children enter their 20s and beyond, and say to yourself, they are individuals. They've always been individuals, but they're now individuals thinking and making decisions, even if they have limited experience and knowledge, and you're giving them and imparting certain wisdom and just telling them your experiences to even help them along the way. They still have to go through their own experience. And so now it's difficult for me. I will be very honest. It's difficult for me to let go of that bond and relationship to a certain extent, letting go and letting him just go out there and live his life and knowing that I won't have that daily interaction with him.
He got to face his own bumps. That's simply how it is. He's made his decision, and now he's got to live with it. That's basically all it is.
And Chevy's been able to step up. As a man, Chevy can relate to a lot of maybe the psychology of, what my son is thinking, what he's going through mentally. I know and trust and appreciate Chevy being here and always being available to my sons, that are from my previous marriage, and taking on everything that he's been taking on because they're not his biological children, but he loves them as if they were. And he is supportive of them regardless. So, one thing that we both have learned, I would say, and Chevy can expound on this, is our children have their own perspectives. It is rooted in their reality. It has nothing to do with we see, what we see as the experiences that everyone has had in, the different scenarios. Our children have their own version and their own experience, and we cannot negate that. That's what I've really come to terms with, that no one's really wrong. You know, his daughter from a previous relationship, who is now 32, she's 31,
Yeah.
32,
Yeah.
right? She has not spoken
She
to,
has severed ties with me.
yeah, for at least 6 months now. And it's unfortunate because she has a son, Chevy's oldest daughter from his previous marriage, that's about 43, I believe.
Mm.
She has
Three sons.
3 sons that, it's, he talks, we talk with her, and there's no severed ties there, but it's still not as close and where Chevy and I would have hoped it would have been at this
Right.
point. But it's good. We speak to her on a regular basis, speak to our grandsons, and we are appreciative that that relationship exists, even the way it exists. And so, one thing about having adult sons and daughters is that the relationship changes, and it's not a bad thing. It's something that we just have to be mindful of in terms of how we relate to our children once they get a certain age. Because I think a lot of times we continue to see them in the capacity of being a child, or being someone who still needs us to direct them and to pretty much, I don't know, it's just it's almost like sheltering, that you can't shelter your adult children if you really want them to grow and evolve.
Amen. That's all I can say to that is amen, because it's the truth. We both had to learn. It took us 28 years to learn.
Right. It definitely
but
took me the last 4 or 5 years,
but
to really get it, to really see and get it.
yeah. So now we got the handle on it.
We
And
have the handle on how we view this. We still are dealing with other individuals, like we'll always have the situation where our sons and our daughters are individuals. They're thinking, they're experiencing, they're living, they're learning, and it's cyclical because there was a certain 3 or 4 years, I want to say, where our daughter, who once again is 31, she came around in terms of, because there was a time when she was, a teenager, that she pretty much was rebelling in terms of trying to
Mm-hmm.
have a relationship with Chevy and I and the younger four. And a lot of that was her perspective of Chevy married me, and she was saying, by the time she got into college, she was saying, well, he's taking on um, the younger four as if that's just his family and excluding her, which was entirely untrue.
Right.
Factually, we were including her in every single thing that we were doing.
We included her to the point where she was actually in our wedding.
Right. I mean, of course, she was in our wedding, and that was without a doubt, she was going to be in our wedding. She was going to attend every function that we did as a family because she is our daughter. I did not marry Chevy with the attitude or the outlook that it's just me, Chevy, and my children that I've had from my previous marriage. I knew when I married Chevy, he had 3 children
Mm-hmm.
from his previous marriage, and there was no way I was going to marry a man knowing that and then say, okay, well, they can just go over and be
Mm-hmm.
over there. No, because one thing that I know for certain is, as a woman, something that pains us a lot of times is when we're in a marriage or we're just in a relationship, we have our children, we go our separate ways with the man, and then the man just drops his responsibility and his love and his relationship with his children. And a lot of men do this for whatever reasons they may have. I know that's a pain point. My children's father did that to them. So there was no way I was going to repeat that and just, oh, okay, because now I have the man with me, let him neglect his. No, that's just not how I roll.
Well, I'm not that way either, so.
Right. And if anything, I was encouraging for Sherry to keep in contact with his daughters.
Keep a close relationship with my daughter.
Right. You're gonna have to reach out more. You're the adult for one. You're the parent. You're gonna have to reach out more. Their mothers had a lot of things that they implanted in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
You got to navigate and get around that. I explained to him. I know how women are. So, but for those of you that may have those challenges that you're dealing with your adult children, one of the things I can suggest is that you step back and you really assess where your adult child is in their thinking. Have those tough conversations. Sometimes those conversations can be very, very stressful, because what you're doing is you're opening a gate that you may hear a lot of things that, yeah, you were clueless and didn't even know, but that you really don't understand how they arrived at their perspectives and outlooks. However, if you at least know, now you can challenge yourself to do the work to trace back, years. It might be sometimes 5, 10 years. You have to go back to really think through some of what your son or daughter is telling you as far as how they experience certain parts of the life that they had grown up, their life growing up. And after you step back, I would say you really want to be objective, because you love your child unconditionally, and as, well, I'll say adult to adult, you want to be clear on how the relationship will be as two adults, and that your perspective is no longer, okay, this is my child, because a lot of us, we stay fixed in that. And Chevy, even, I would say, he is better than me as far as seeing them as adults. He's told me plenty of times, let them live their lives, learn, experience what they're going to experience, just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very, very aware that I was not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year it shed a lot of light on letting go, really reevaluating, seeing they are adults. If they're making bad choices, that is going to be something they have to learn from,
Mm-hmm.
move forward, and they'll learn. And also trusting that you raised your children to go out in this world and live productive, healthy, stable lives. If you don't have that knowing, then that might be an issue that you have to work on, just as an individual. And I told one of my friends, I said, yeah, we have to trust that, yeah, we raise our children to become productive adults who have the mental fortitude and the resilience, and also just the intellect to navigate and go through life, and think back to when we were that age. You're 24. Most of the time you don't know anything that you, of course, really need to know to get through those beginning stages of life. You learn. It's through the journey that you learn.
Something that we all have to look at and understand. We're parents, we're educated, but there is no way that we can pass along everything that we've learned.
Right.
Therefore, the kids will have to learn some things on their own in their experiences on the outside. Because we're not going to be there every time for them, every day for them. We can only be there when they bring something to us
As time
as
along,
time
yeah.
goes by, or we actually experience something that we can let them know, hey, this could happen. But other than that, they got to learn on their own. And you can't coddle them. You coddle them, they become spoiled and they become expectant. And um, what is that word? Um, like they're promised something. They're not promised.
Entitled. There's a lot of,
Entitled,
yeah, it's a
right?
lot of
Entitlement,
entitlement.
and that is definitely a bad condition.
And also, we have the different generations. We're always on that continuum where everyone is coming from a different generation. Chevy and I are coming from two different generations.
Mm-hmm.
He's a baby boomer. I'm a Gen X. My firstborn, he is a millennial. My last three are, I believe it's Gen Z. And so, one thing I'll leave with everyone is the importance of keeping your outlook of the relationship with your adult children open to the concept of having individuals who are having their own experiences it's not this cookie cutter experience that everyone has at 20 and everyone has at 26 and everyone, it's not. My daughter, she had an experience with her pregnancy that I could not relate to most of her pregnancy. She had a lot of things going on that I didn't deal with in any of my pregnancies. I've had four children, and I couldn't relate to most of what she was going through in her first and only pregnancy. I couldn't relate. And
Mm.
it was unfortunate because I was like, wait a minute. And so I'm learning along with her. And I know that we've talked about it. I believe she thought for a moment that I was not able to be there for her. More so, it was a disappointment for her in what she expected for, her first pregnancy. Well, my mom's had four, so she's thinking, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have any issues with my mom being every step of the way helping me and navigating. And I felt at a disadvantage because I'm like, whoa, I don't even know. It was certain things that I heard of during her pregnancy for the very first time. You know, she ended up having to have a cesarean section. I didn't have a cesarean section with any of my children. I knew, of course, what a cesarean section is, and but I didn't experience that. And I was challenged with supporting her after she went through, her cesarean section. It was kind of traumatic how it came about, but I was challenged because I know how to support my daughter emotionally for most of what she's been through growing up, as first of all who she is as a person, but also just as a girl growing up and then a young lady. But when we talk about her going through an experience that I didn't experience and didn't have enough knowledge of, I was just like, I really felt bad. And I know I was overcompensating and doing a lot of things that were maybe perceived by her, based on when me and her talked, as just trying to make sure I overdo in other areas, because I just didn't have enough knowledge and no experience in a lot of what she dealt with in her pregnancy. So yeah, it's something that we can give ourselves permission to not be so dead set on. I'm going to be there every step of the way, and thinking that you're going to be able to know
It's
everything.
just not possible.
Not possible. And some people might know that I'm a little different as far as, I'm not a helicopter mom. I am a mother who is very dogmatic. Just, I'm a very present mom. But they're adults now. And I am confident they will do well, that they're covered. God has always covered them, covered all of us. So, yeah, just make sure that you reassess every couple of years, every 3 or 4 years, the relationship you have with your adult children, because they're no longer needing you to be there as you were when they were dependents and children and adolescents. They need you in the capacity of a support system as an adult, from an adult to another adult. Anything
Hmm.
else you want to say?
Not really. Don't don't kill yourself trying to um, solve all the problems because you can't.
Exactly.
It's not possible. A lot of prayer and a lot of understanding
And that's another
because
thing, that has also brought me back to where I realized I was straying away from my faith and my daily walk. And sometimes we are put in certain situations to reveal other areas of our lives that we are falling short. So that's another thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. Make sure that you're staying close to whatever faith belief system you have, higher power that you submit to. Make sure you are not straying, and just like when you have a newborn or 10-year old, and you want to make sure that as a parent you are doing the things that you can to make sure that they are protected, supported, loved, with every inch of who you are. Make sure that with your adult sons and daughters, you're still staying steady with your faith. All right, so y'all leave us a comment if y'all want to see more videos like this. This is your first time listening to us. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We will be having our videos weekly. I'm going to start doing every week, 2 days a week. So yeah, just let us know, give us your feedback as to what you think about this topic. And as always, y'all stay blessed.
Stay blessed. Believe in God.
Good night.